What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Danny Garcia. Of course, we know Danny Garcia is set to face another southpaw, which is I forget his name. Red top. I'm not gonna murder his name. Anyhow, you know, he set to fight his upcoming fight. He wanted to fight Errol Spence or another southpaw, so this sets him in position in preparation to fight someone like Errol Spence, hopefully as time permits. But the thing I want to talk to you guys about was his newfound beef with Timothy Bradley. Timothy Bradley, of course, told everyone and all the fighters from PBC to put the big boy pants on and please fight Terrence Crawford. You know, and Danny Garcia did respond to that, and he was like, well, hey, first of all, I'll fight anybody. Anybody can get it. I think that in order for me to fight Terrence Crawford, the money has to be there in order for the split to be assessed, and if the split ain't worth that, the fight won't happen, okay? Why would I fight him for $3 million when I can fight Rod Salka for $3 million, okay? So that's the rebuttal or counterpunch that Danny Garcia had to say. On top of that, he was like, well, he should watch what he's saying, meaning Timothy Bradley, because Timothy Bradley never crossed over to fight anyone, so why would he tell someone else to come over to another network when he never done it? Okay, now that was an interesting point. When have you seen Timothy Bradley fight anyone else other than the ESPN? On top of Danny Garcia saying that he's not bankable, he's not marketable, he doesn't sell. That's why nobody really wanted to fight him. It had nothing to do with him being scared or people didn't ducking him or what have you. He wasn't marketable. Now, I don't really know about that because it was a different market at that time. And let me explain. Danny Garcia, if you compare Danny Garcia to Timothy Bradley was a guy that fought Pacquiao, and Pacquiao gave him those fights. So really, why would he ever need to go anywhere else? Why would he have to fight those other guys over there where he had Pacquiao? However, I do agree with Danny Garcia to a certain degree. He could have crossed over to show that, hey, I do want to fight those guys on other networks. So it's kind of hard for someone that's out of the sport now telling another fighter or fighters to do a certain thing when he hasn't done it. Now, that's a good counterpunch. So, you know, I have to give it to Danny Garcia with that. However, when Premier Boxing Champions came around, you know, into the picture, they are free TV. They were free TV. You know, this was before they went back to Showtime, but Premier Boxing Champions was on free TV for a lot of people. And at the time, they didn't really get they got the views, but they didn't get the support, and a lot of people did hate on Premier Boxing Champions. And I wonder why, why are you hating on these guys? It's a new place, new people, you know, some interesting fights that could be made, and we saw some interesting fights. You know, they were pretty good. You know, like Keith Thurman and Guerrero. You know. Robert Guerrero. So that was a pretty good fight, you know, things like that, you know, mediocre fights, you know, went back when Thurman used to be hungry to fight all these guys. Now, to compare that to Timothy Bradley, where he really didn't need it because his career kind of consists of fighting the legend. You know, he officially won a fight with Manny Pacquiao the first go round, and then he beat another legend, Juan Manuel Marquez. Okay, well, you had Pacquiao, Bradley, Juan Manuel Marquez, you know, then you had guys like Brandon Rios and I forgot the other guy that he used to fight like 2 or 3 times. It'll come to me, but you had some fighters on Top Rank Stable back in the day. A lot of those guys were either retired or they, you know, like Brandon Rios, who went to PBC and got knocked out by Danny Garcia, you know, and so Timothy Bradley, what he's saying is not wrong. I agree with Timothy Bradley 100%. A lot of those guys need to really stop pretending that they are just a part of this consortium network that won't fight other fighters, and the money has to be a certain way. It's just ridiculous. I don't think that that's the case. I don't think that people should, you know, have that type of mindset. You know, I want to squash all of this, to counterpunch all of this. I'm not disputing what Danny Garcia had to say, because he did make a point. Now, I don't know how marketable Timothy Bradley was, but I mean, he wasn't a Floyd Mayweather, or, you know what I mean? He wasn't that guy. He was more to me like a Sugar Shane Mosley. He was a guy that had wins on other fighters, but really wasn't that much of a marketable star. Okay? But then again, you ask yourself, well, how big is Danny Garcia actually, honestly? How big is his fan base? You know, I mean, he can sell out Barclays, but, you know, you got to consider the, you know, the undercard and all that stuff. So, you know, so we're looking at the business aspect of things. But don't you see it strange where those guys take a blow or take offense to what Timothy Bradley's saying, instead of listening to a guy that's been in the sport, that was willing to fight anyone and everyone. Timothy Bradley was. He was willing to do that. Say and mentor the younger fighters. Like, they need to get in there and make the fight happen. You know, and then really they should. I think they should take that with a grain of salt, or take that with constructive criticism. You know, because Danny Garcia, hell, you know, I would love to see him, you know, he fought Bam Bam Rios, you know, knocked him smooth out, right? I would love to see him fight Crawford or Spence. You know, that fight could happen, but everyone's treating Crawford like the redheaded stepchild. And there's more to it than that. You know, these guys on the PBC, you know, they don't even acknowledge the WBO. Like, when you stop mentioning that guy, he automatically becomes the elephant in the room, the boogeyman, the guy that you do not really want to talk to, or, you know, or discuss, because it's damn near like taboo. He's like Candyman with the lights off in the bathroom. You know what I mean? He's like that kind of guy. When you start pretending that the WBO doesn't exist, that's just BS. You know, and then what they don't understand is, the more they're ignoring that fighter is growing. You know, he's growing in notoriety because of the antics that they are deliberately doing to try to, you know, freeze out Terrence Crawford for being with Top Rank. It doesn't even make any sense. Those guys can make a fight together, you know. So what Danny Garcia is saying, oh, it got to make sense, this and together, dude, that fight will sell. Offer you an offer, you know, accept the fight, go over and fight Terrence Crawford, or Terrence Crawford, you know, we can meet in the middle, you know. But no, if the fight can happen, the fight can be made. You know what I mean? So it's up to really the fighters, if they want to be made, stop hiding behind politics and get the fucking fight done. You know, because Errol Spence is out, and you got to respect that. The man's injured, he's whatever, mentally, physically, emotionally, whateverly, he's out right now. So we can't, you know, we can't look at him. Who's next? Thurman, Garcia, Porter. So let's make these fights happen. Let's let the best fighters fight the best fighters. Simple as that. Anyway, you guys tell me about this newfound beef between Danny Garcia and Timothy Bradley. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.